Hare Krishna. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Vihari. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jayo Girivaradhari. Jayo Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jayo Girivaradhari. Jayo Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jayo Girivaradhari. Jayo Girivaradhari. Ya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jayo Girivaradhari. Jayo Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Danandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Vihari. Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Vihari. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda. He Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jagannath Swami, Nayana Patagami, Nayana Patagami, Bhavatu me, Gannath Swami Patagami, Nayana Patagami, Bhavatu me, Jayo Radha Vallabha, Radha Vallabha, Sri Radhe, Radha Vallabha, Radha Vallabha, Sri Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Sri Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Sri Radhe, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan, Jayo Nitai Doyal, Jayo Nimai Sundar, Jayo Sundar Nimai, Jayo Nitai Doyal, Jayo Nitai Doyal, Jayo Nimai Sundar, Jayo Sundar Nimai, Jayo Nitai Doyal. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Srila Guru Deva. Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Srila Guru Deva. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhirayet Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Savana Kirtanaha Hrudantasto hi abhadrani Vidunnoti suhursatam Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to pure devotee, all that is troublesome to heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So today's verse for discussion, Canto 8, Chapter 5, the demigods appeal to the Lord for protection, text number 23. Ayam chatasya astiti palanakshanaham Chatasya stiti palanakshanah Ayam chatasya stiti palanakshanah Tasya kshiti palanakshanah Sattvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam Tvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam Sattvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam Jusanasya bhavaya dehinam tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum tasmad sharanam jagadgurum swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Ayam chatasya stiti palanakshanaha. Chatasya stiti palanakshanaha. Sattvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam. Tvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam. Tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum. Smad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum. Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Ayam satasya stiti palanakshanaha. Sattvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam. Tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadguru. Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Ayam chatasya stiti palanakshanaha. Sattvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam. Tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum. Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Ayam chatasya stiti palanakshanaha. Sattvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam. Tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum. Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Ayam chatasya stiti palanakshanaha. Chastam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam. Tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum. Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Any Matajis? Swayam chatasya stiti palanakshanaha. Sattvam jusanasya bhavaya dehinam. Tasmad vrajamaha sharanam jagadgurum. Swanam sanodasyati samsura priyaha. Yeah, word-to-word meaning and translation by His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anyone coming for the first time to the session? Hare. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we look at the word-to-word meaning. I am this period, cha, also, tasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Stitipalanakshanaham, the time for maintenance or for establishing his rule. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Jusanasya, accepting, now without waiting. Bhavaya, for the increased development or establishment. Dehinam, of all living entities who accept material bodies. Tasmat, therefore, Vrajamaha, let us take Sharanam, shelter, Jagadgurum, at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the universal teacher, Swanam, his own persons, Saha, he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Naha, unto us, Dasayati, will give some, the good fortune we need. Surapriyaha, because he is naturally very dear to the devotees. So the Lord's quality is being mentioned. Surapriyaha, the first line, Sthitipala Nakshanam. Then last line is Samasurapriyaha, Surapriyaha, because he is naturally very dear to the devotees. Now, translation is fairly a lengthy purport, but a wonderful purport. So therefore, maybe instead of going to the entire purport in one go, we'll go in paragraphs. So that's how we can be aligned with what Srila Prabhupada is trying to convey to us. Otherwise, as Prabhupada says in the second paragraph, we are in Kali-yuga. And the typical quality of a Kali-yuga is short memory. So, manda buddhi, we forget easily. So therefore, even if you try to read the whole translation or purport at the same time, we may forget. So therefore, we'll take it in chunks and then try to understand what Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell us. So we'll try to read the first two paragraphs. The material world is conducted by the three modes of nature, namely Sattva-guna, Rajo-guna and Tamo-guna. By Rajo-guna, everything material is created. By Sattva-guna, everything material is maintained properly. And by Tamo-guna, when the creation is improperly situated, everything is destroyed. From this verse, we can understand the situation of Kali-yuga, through which we are now passing. So we are in Kali-yuga, and did we skip the translation? Oh, sorry. So we read the translation. Thank you, Prabhu. Now is the time to invoke the mood of goodness. Yeah, you can respond, please. Now is the time to invoke the mood of goodness of the living entities who have accepted material bodies. The mode of goodness is meant to establish the Supreme Lord's rule, which will maintain the existence of the creation. Therefore, this is the opportune moment to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because He is naturally very kind and dear to the demigods. He will certainly bestow good fortune upon us. Purport. The material world is conducted by the three modes of nature, namely Sattva-guna, Rajo-guna and Tamo-guna. By Rajo-guna, everything material is created. By Sattva-guna, everything material is maintained properly. And by Tamo-guna, when the creation is improperly situated, everything is destroyed. So from this verse, we can understand the situation of Kali-yuga, through which we are now passing. Just before the beginning of Kali-yuga, or in other words, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, Lord Sri Krishna appeared and left his instruction in the form of Bhagavad Gita, in which he asked all living entities to surrender unto him. Since the beginning of Kali-yuga, however, people have practically been unable to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, and therefore, after some 5,000 years, Krishna came again as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. just to teach the entire world how to surrender onto Him, onto Sri Krishna, and thus be purified. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Mukam karoti vachalam pangam gangayate girim yat kripatamaham vande paramananda madhavam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has the form of Satchitananda Vigraha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Him who turned the dumb into eloquent speakers and enables the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So translation once again. Now is the time to invoke the mode of goodness of living entities who have accepted material bodies. The mode of goodness is meant to establish the Supreme Lord's rule, which will maintain the existence of the creation. Therefore, this is the opportune moment to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because He is very kind and dear to the demigods. Sam Surapriyaha. He will certainly bestow good fortune upon us. So the Sanskrit verse, the Sthiti Palana Kshanaha, this is the time for maintenance or for establishing His rule. The creation has already taken place and the time for maintenance. And the maintenance is typically done in the form of, by whom? Lord Vishnu. So therefore, since He is very dear to the devotees, who is a devotee? Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. Why do you say that?
Generator, operator, and destroyer. Generator is Brahma, operator is Vishnu. He is operating to all of us.
Okay.
And Lord Shiva is the destroyer.
Right.
Who will destroy? Destruction is the base of the instruction.
Destruction is the?
That is the main base of the instruction.
Oh.
When we will destroy ourselves, when we will destroy our inner thoughts, you can say our impurities and our bad thinkings. When we will destroy those things, then we will get alive in the form of devotees.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So therefore, we find that Prabhupada opens the purport that the material world is conducted by the three modes of nature, namely Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. So which chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about this? 14th chapter. So in 14th chapter, which is the verse which talks about this? That the 14.3, the total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. And in 14.5, Krishna says material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. Now, what is meant by conditioned by these three modes? Conditioned is the word Srila Prabhupada uses in most of the purports. And as jivas, we are conditioned when we are in the material world. So what do we understand by the term condition? Sorry? We are programmed. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Any other understanding? We are within the realm of the material nature. Is that what you're saying, Prabhu? Yeah, thank you. Anything else? We are covered.
Can you talk in Hindi? Someone will translate. I think I can answer your question.
See, here the audience generally...
I understand this thing.
Yeah.
Sometime in Hindi I think I can explain in better way. If you ask, please ask me this question. What you have asked? I didn't get what you were asking.
इसमें पूछा जा रहा है कि कंडीशन का मतलब क्या है?
कंडीशन जिस हालात में हम, जिस अवस्था में हैं, कंडीशन का मतलब है कि हम कौन से हालात में, हम किस अवस्था में, हम अपने को कहाँ पर पा रहे हैं.
हाँ. Okay, thank you. Now, in terms of Prabhupada's telling us is that condition means that one, we are tiny. That's the first aspect of being conditioned, that we are tiny as jiva and we are controlled. So there are the two parameters which Prabhupada tries to mention whenever he talks about condition. That we are tiny as jiva, we are very small. I think the Vedic scripture says that the soul is 1 by 10,000 tip of the hair. So we are so tiny. And either we are under the control of the spiritual energy or we are under the control of the material energy. And in the material world, we are under the control of the material energy. That is, we are governed by the three modes of material nature. So Prabhupada says that the three modes of material nature, namely Sattva Guna and Tamo Guna, and the Rajoguna, everything is material is created. By Sattva Guna, everything material is maintained properly. And when the creation is improperly situated, everything is destroyed. So therefore, in the material world, we are covered or we are controlled or we are conditioned, and we need to transcend this conditioning or we need to overcome this conditioning. And during the creation, maintenance and destruction. So the universe comes into existence at a particular point of time, and anything which comes into existence is maintained for some time and then once again is destroyed. And all this is happening under the three modes of material nature. So to start with the creation, Vedic scriptures describe that Mahavishnu is lying in the Karana ocean and he is glancing at Pradhan. In Pradhan, the three modes of material nature are in equilibrium, so there is no disturbance in Pradhan. And when Mahavishnu glances at Pradhan, he is injecting into Pradhan the jiva or the souls along with the time factor. And when the time factor enters into the Pradhan, then it's churned. Or you find that till then the three modes of material nature, that is Sattva, Raja, Tama, which were in neutral or in equilibrium, they get disturbed. And from that disturbance you find the creation starts or progression takes place. And the jivas are injected into that, so therefore they develop the bodies depending on the previous karma that they have accrued. So therefore somebody gets a human body, somebody gets a plant body, somebody gets an animal body, somebody gets an insect body, and so on. So we find that there are about 8.42 million species of life. So depending on what karma we have done previously, accordingly the bodies are arranged for us. And there is a natural progression from the lower species of life to the human form of life. There, in the lower species of life, there's nothing like somebody is doing any karma because they are naturally progressing. But once they come to the human form of life, you find that the person is subjected to the karmic reactions. So therefore, the human form of life is a very responsible life. And if this responsibility is not discharged properly, there is a possibility that we fall back into the lower species of life. And once we fall into the lower species of life, it takes millions of years before we get once again the human form of life.
Karmas play biggest role in our spiritual journey. Karmas return back, come back. If we help someone, definitely we will get the reward of that help. If we feed someone, definitely we will get the reward of that. So karmas return. Karma is the main basic part of the base of the spiritual journey. If we want to meet to God, so first of all, we will have to make our karmas best. After that, our chanting will help us to improve our internal power. And when your inner self is communion with that higher power of thoughts, then you will feel that everything is happening according to yourself. That I believe. That I read somewhere. Our meditation, our chanting helps us a lot because we are Aham Brahmasmi, Hum Khud Brahma. We are the God. We can say this because we are the part of that God. Just like a small drop of water is the part of the ocean. When it fell into that ocean, it becomes itself the ocean. Just like that only, we are the part of that Almighty, that God. When we meditate ourselves, when we reach at this point, then we definitely get a light from here. Then we feel the God is around us, He is surrounding to us. We are Aham Brahmasmi.
Please listen to what we are discussing and then you can ask the questions because you are deviating from the topic and whatever you have said. No, please listen. Yeah,
Maybe I am a little bit excited.
yeah,
I'm really feeling like that. This is the
true,
actually where I am sitting. This is the place of God. So whatever feeling I am just discussing and telling my expressions.
true.
I
Thank you.
understand this thing. I respect your words. So
Thank you for expressing your thoughts, but because you have expressed your thought with humbleness, I disagree with what you have said. So therefore, that needs to be corrected. So at some stage, you can ask me the question once again, and then we'll try to clarify on what you have said. So from this verse, Prabhupada continues second paragraph. So we said that Mahavishnu glances at Pradhan and from Pradhan we find the transformation of elements takes place because of the time factor which is injected into it. And then the first element to form is the false ego, and that false ego interacts with mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance to generate the respective, you can say, elements or the mind, the intelligence, and then the devatas, and then so on. So there's a continuous process, and under the supervision of the Lord, the continuous process takes place. It's not like as a watch, for example. You manufacture the watch and then you leave it, the watch continues to work. There's no supervision required. But in terms of creation, that's not the case. It's continuously under the supervision of the Supreme Lord that the creation takes place, the maintenance takes place, and finally the destruction takes place. So therefore, from this verse, Prabhupada continues, we can understand the situation of Kali-yuga, Just before the beginning of Kali-yuga, or in other words, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, Lord Sri Krishna appeared and left his instructions in the form of Bhagavad Gita, in which he asked all living entities to surrender unto him. Now, as part of maintenance, Krishna descends down to give us instruction. And he gives us instruction in such a way that we are able to receive it, we are able to understand it. Deep philosophical thoughts, if it is suddenly given to us, maybe it's like if you understand the concept of cricket, the bowler bowls a bouncer and the batsman had to duck because it goes over the head. So similarly, Krishna does not do a bouncer, rather Krishna gives a ball in such a way that we are able to take it. So he wrapped up this instruction in the form of Bhagavad Gita by arranging a battlefield, because we are all attracted to battlefield. I'm sure all of us or most of us are reading through newspapers, at least at a cursory glance, what is happening in the war between Ukraine and Russia, or what's happening between Hamas and Israel, or what is happening in other parts of the world, because it draws our attention. So therefore, Krishna understands that we are easily drawn to that environment, and therefore he has arranged the battlefield, and in that battlefield he has sandwiched Bhagavad Gita and he gives the instruction. So Krishna has given the instruction when just before the commencement of Kali-yuga or in Dwapara Yuga. And there, what was the instruction he has given? Prabhupada says that he has given the instruction of Sarva Dharman Parityeja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishyami Masuchaha. That is in 18.66, chapter 18, text 66. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gives this instruction. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Thus, as soon as one surrenders onto the lotus feet of Krishna, one certainly becomes free from all contamination. So this is the instruction given by Krishna, and Acharyas highlight that ma suchaha, that do not be worried. To leave the anxiety. What you need to do is just surrender on to Lord Krishna. Why? Because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything emanates, both material and spiritual. So therefore, just surrender on to him. By surrendering on to him, you become fearless. Not only you become fearless, but you become cleansed from all the material contamination. And once you are cleansed of all the material contamination, then it paves way going back home, back to Godhead. The journey is returning back. So therefore, we do not take the concept, or we do not buy the concept that the soul merges with the Brahman, or the soul merges with the Supreme Soul. Maybe water flows, the river flows into the sea, but Prabhupada gives the example, maybe the water is flowing into the sea, but in the sea you have other animals, sea animals like fish or whales or other animals. So therefore, similarly, the soul does not merge with the Supreme Soul, rather the soul enters the abode and serves the Supreme Soul. So therefore the Lord exists eternally, and the jiva or the soul also enters eternally. The soul never merges with the Supreme Soul. This is the concept which we understand from Bhagavad Gita, we understand from Bhagavatam, and we understand from the entire Vedic literature. Many debates have taken place in the past, continue to take place in the present, where the philosophy of the Advaita, so-called Advaita philosophy and Dvaita, that on one side we find people tend to say that the soul merges with the Supreme Soul, whereas the essence of Vedic literature says that no, soul does not merge with the Supreme Soul. They maintain their own distinct identity, but the tiny jiva serves the Supreme Jiva always in a relationship. But how to surrender, as Prabhupada says in the paragraph, Krishna has given the instruction, but then still we are mandabuddhi, that we do not have the required intelligence to understand that instruction. So therefore, in order to make us understand that instruction, Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just to teach the entire world how to surrender onto him, onto Sri Krishna, and thus be purified, appears 400 years back. And who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Is he here anywhere?
Yes, we can feel. He's here.
Where?
He's inside of us. If we can feel that, he's around us. If you look at him, I can feel that he's sitting right there.
Yeah, that is also true, but here on the altar, do you have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? See, in the middle altar, who do we have? Sorry? बीच में कौन है? और हाँ, और बाएं तरफ, on the left side. That's one way of understanding. It's a good understanding, but there we find Lord Nityananda left extreme, and just to the right is Lord Gauranga or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that since the beginning of Kali-yuga, however, people have practically been unable to surrender to the lotus feet of Krishna, and therefore, after some 5,000 years, Krishna came again as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Nityananda is left extreme, and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they both appeared, and Prabhupada is mentioning here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years back. Why? To teach us, or he demonstrated the process of Sarvadharman Parityeja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, how to carry forward that instruction which Krishna has given 5,000 years back by way of Bhagavad Gita. So we need a teacher to tell us what to do and how to do. So like in university, you would have seen, or a college you would have seen, there is a theory given to us, and then there is a practical. And when you do the practical, or the practicals are demonstrated, then you understand the theory better. So equally here, the theory has been given by Krishna, but at that age people could understand. But we are in an age, as Prabhupada says, we are in Kali-yuga, and sorry, I thought I switched it off and then So 500 years back, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared to give us the demonstration so that we understand how to do and what to do, how to follow the instruction of Sri Krishna, which was given by, Krishna given, and therefore we are able to follow. And what is that instruction in terms of surrendering onto the Lord? There is the verse in Hari Bhakta Vilas, Ankulyascha Sankalpa Pratikulyascha Varjanam Rakshishascha Vishwaso Gopatratve Varnam Tata Atma Nikshepana Karpanye Sadvida Sharanagatihi. So this is what is meant by surrender. The 6 divisions of surrender are accepting those things which are favorable for Krishna consciousness or for doing your sadhana. Whatever is favorable, we accept it. Whatever is not favorable, we reject it. That's the first thing. Second, rejecting unfavorable things. So accepting what is favorable, rejecting what is not favorable. Third, conviction that Krishna will give protection always. That Krishna will give us protection always. Then 4, accepting the Lord as one's guardian or as master, taking the Lord as one's own master. And 5, fully surrendering unto Him. And then 6 is the humility. Now, humility is the starting point, or it starts our journey in Krishna consciousness. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, text 8, Amanittam, Krishna starts the process of knowledge as Amanittam, humility. So one of the qualities of a sadhaka should be humble. Humble implies dependence on Krishna. It is not saying that bending ourselves forward is humility, but typical humility or true humility is always thinking, I'm tiny, I'm incapable of doing anything, but I depend on Krishna. I do my best, but it's ultimately Krishna who is doing it. I have to behave in such a way that I become the instrument in the hands of Krishna, and therefore the work gets carried out. So that is a true humility. And if I can imbibe this quality of being dependent on Krishna in every action of us, then Krishna is never lost to us. Krishna is always with us. And when Krishna is never lost, then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, at Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejate ante kalevaram tam tamaivaiti kaunteya sadarthat bhava bhavitaha. That whatever one thinks at the end of life, then the person gets that particular form or that particular body. So all through our life, if we are constantly able to remember Krishna by being dependent on Him in every activity of our life, every sphere of our life, then even at the end of our life, when the next form of body we are going to get, you think of Krishna and leave the body, and therefore you will not return back home, or you will not return back to this material world, but you will return back home, back to Godhead, or you will return back to the spiritual world, and in that spiritual world, you are serving the Lord in one of the 5 relationships. So there, elsewhere we find Prabhupada talks about that either you maintain the servitor relationship, or you maintain the Sakya friendship relationship, or you maintain a parental relationship, or you maintain a conjugal relationship. In one of those relationships, you will be serving the Lord eternally. And therefore, the soul never merges with the Supreme Soul. And if somebody's concept of soul merging Supreme Soul is taken, we call it Sayujya Mukti. And that Sayujya Mukti, according to Srila Prabhupada and according to the Vedic scripture, it is a suicide of the spirit soul. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there was never a time that the soul, you did not exist, nor a time when I did not exist, nor will there be a time both you and I will not exist. So therefore the soul exists individually and also the Supreme Lord, and the relationship is that the soul serves the Supreme Lord in one of the relationships eternally. Now, why we are not able to surrender ourselves to the Supreme Lord, Krishna says, Prabhupada gives the that we are in Kali-yuga, or we are in this period which is considered to be a period Kaler dosha nije dajan asti hi eko mahan gunaha kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrijet. So the age of Kali is full of unlimited faults. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. Nidhe is full. Dosha is fault. So therefore this yuga is full of faults. But however, within this fault period, there is one good quality. And what is that quality? But there's one chance, one opportunity. Kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrajet. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is here on the board. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Bolo, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By just chanting, we call this as Mahamantra. One can be freed from the contamination of Kali-yuga. One can be freed from the contamination of Kali-yuga, and in his original spiritual body can return home back to Godhead. This is the opportunity of Kali-yuga. So therefore we are in a period which is full of faults, or which is full of dirt. The dirt is so much that we do not know that there is dirt. For example, you visit somebody's house, or you can see your own house. When there is dust everywhere, when there is dirt everywhere, you add some more dirt to it, you will not be able to see that, because the house is already dirty. But when the house is very clean, for example, here you see this room, speck and clean. Even a small piece of paper somewhere or a little bit of dust anywhere, immediately you can see that, oh, here is the dust, or here the dirt is accumulated. That needs to be cleaned. So we are in a time period called Kali-yuga, which is full of dirt, so much dirt that we have forgotten to see cleanliness. And that's what is our heart. Heart is full of contamination. And Vedic scripture narrates the dirt in so many ways, or so many details are given about the dirt. Maybe I can read one or two texts. The 12.3.43, Krishna talks about what is the problem of it in this yuga. Kalau narajan jagatam param gurum Trailokanathanata pada pankajam prayena martya bhagvantam achyutam ekshasanti pasanda vibhinna chetasaha. And the translation states that, O king, in the age of Kali, people's intelligence will be diverted by atheism, and they will almost never offer sacrifice to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Spiritual Master of the universe. Although the great personalities who control the three worlds all bow down to the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, the petty and miserable human beings of this age will not do so. Then in the beginning of Bhagavatam 1.1.10, Sukadeva Goswami says, Prayena alpak aisha sabhya kalau asmin yuge jana mandaha sumanda martayo matayo manda bhagyahi upadrutaha. So the translation is, O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. So this is the period in which we are, that we are unfortunate, we have short intelligence, short life, short memory, but yet there is one good quality is that by taking the simple process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, sincerely chanting this Maha Mantra, your journey back home, back to Godhead is assured. So therefore that's what is saying. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan astihi eko mahan gunaha kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrachet. This yuga is such that wherever we go, it's all glittering. It says that, well, it promises so many things, but yet it does not give us anything. It's all, Prabhupada says, it's an empty husk. And from the empty husk, nothing comes. Maybe I'll tell you a small story. There was once a sultan, and to the sultan's court comes a fakir. I hope all of you know who the fakir is. And the fakir starts singing. Sultan becomes very happy. Inko gold ke muhar diya jaye, that please give him gold coins. The fakir becomes happy and he continues to sing more and more melodiously, and the sultan becomes more and more happy, and he says, give him jewelry, give him diamonds, and fakir becomes furthermore happy. He says, he continues to sing, and his singing becomes more and more melodious, and the sultan feels more happy and says, give him land, give him property, give him assets. And fakir becomes very happy. And he goes back home. He tells his wife that today Sultanji was so happy that he has given us diamonds, gold, property, buildings, land, everything. 1 week has gone, 2 weeks has gone, 3 weeks has gone. Nothing has happened. Nothing came to his place. So then wife started pestering him. He says, what happened? You said you are going to get gold, diamond, land, property. Nothing has come. And the fakir comes back to the court and asks Sultan, Sultanji, you have said that you are going to give me land, property, gold. What has happened? He said, nothing. You have pleased my ears. I have pleased your ears. You have pleased my ears by singing, and I have pleased your ears by giving you, telling you that I'm going to give you gold. So this is what the Kali-yuga is promising us, or this is what the material nature promises that everywhere you find glittering, and we become attracted to that glitter. And the net result, that we leave this body. And then we punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So therefore, this cycle of birth, death, old age, disease continues. And Prabhupada continues in the next paragraph. When Krishna appeared, he gave his orders, and Krishna himself appeared as a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He showed us the path by which to cross the ocean of Kali-yuga. That is the path of Hare Krishna movement, whom Sri Krishna, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, he ushered in the era for the Sankirtan movement. It is also said that for 10,000 years the era will continue. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was inaugurated 400 years back, the Sankirtana movement. And this Sankirtana movement, this window remains open for 10,000 years. The Kali-yuga itself runs for 432,000 years. Prabhupada mentions in the purport. Kali-yuga continues for 432,000 years, of which 5,000 years have gone by, another 427,000 years to come. But out of this 427,000 years, 10,000 years of Sankirtan movement is there. So this is a golden period. And in this golden period, if we can perfect our life, then we return back home, back to Godhead. And having gone to the abode of spiritual world, Krishna promises in Bhagavad Gita, we will not return back to the material world once again. And even for any reason, Acharya say that if a soul having entered the spiritual world, once again thinks of coming back to the material world, Krishna shows the material world for the last 100 lifetimes how you have been in the material world. And that makes us think, oh no Baba, this is not a place I should go. And therefore we continue to serve the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. So therefore, Prabhupada says of these 10,000 years of Sankirtan movement inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 500 years ago provide the opportunity for the fallen souls of Kali-yuga to take the Krishna conscious movement, chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and thus be delivered from the clutches of material existence and return home back to Godhead. So chanting Kali-yuga doshas that we have done already. So therefore, Prabhupada continues in the purport that those who have accepted the task of spreading the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in full Krishna consciousness should take the opportunity to deliver people very easily from the clutches of material existence. So therefore, once we understand that this is the essence that we should return back home, back to Godhead, a process has been given, then first of all we should practice this process. Because Prabhupada also tells us, preach in this, he says that we should share this knowledge, we should preach this knowledge. And therefore Prabhupada says, preaching is the essence, books are the basis, utility is the principle, and purity is the force. So therefore, when we talk based on the books. Prabhupada says that everything has been given in his books. What we need to do is sincerely read Srila Prabhupada's books. Instead of reading Srila Prabhupada's books, we read everything else. And we think that, well, we do not have time. That person is saying something else, this person is saying something else. But Prabhupada has said everything in his books. Why not we read Prabhupada's books? How many of us have heard Srila Prabhupada, all the lectures of Srila Prabhupada? Anyone? Why? Okay, we have difficulty in reading Prabhupada's books, but Prabhupada has given so many, entire philosophy has been spoken by Srila Prabhupada to audience who had no background, to the audience who were drinking, who were eating, who were mixing, who were doing all the activities which the Kali-yuga can offer, or this period can offer, and taken them from that platform to the highest platform. That means that the lectures are so potent. Our journey in Krishna consciousness in terms of purity is the force should be to hear first Srila Prabhupada's lectures. While walking, while driving, while cooking, while eating, doing anything, you can hear Prabhupada's lecture because it's an audio. So before trying to share or preach to others, first take sympathy for oneself. Be compassionate to oneself. And that compassion to oneself translates into purity. We become elevated in our consciousness. We become Krishna conscious. And when we become Krishna conscious, then we can become a proper instrument in the hands of Acharyas, our Guru Parampara. Never think that we can do something, but if we can be an instrument, then that's the greatest achievement I have achieved in this life, because Krishna, Acharyas, the Parampara is using me as an instrument to share this knowledge, to spread this knowledge, to spread Krishna consciousness. And Krishna says that anyone who does this job is the most beloved person, most dear to me. In Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Krishna says, anyone who can do this service is doing the greatest service to me, and therefore he becomes very dear to Krishna. Imagine that you are very dear to Krishna. What more do you want in life? It doesn't matter in what situation we are, but we have our dear friend. Krishna has recognized us, so therefore our welfare is guaranteed. Maybe each one of us can open or create an Excel spreadsheet, if not a database. If you have the ability to design a database, wonderful. Otherwise, Excel spreadsheet is always there, is easy, open, click open, and then write down the details as mentioned by Srila Prabhupada. Every day morning, 4:30, I should wake up, attend Mangala Arati. Not necessary that one person should come to temple all the way to attend Mangala Arati. Logistics could be a problem, but wherever you are, get up, and you have in your own home a small temple, attend to Mangala Arati. Or use the technology and switch on to temple, attend Mangala Arati, and sit for the next 2 hours, do your chanting. Finish your chanting, 16 rounds of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you create in Excel spreadsheet, write down the table, getting up 4 o'clock, 4:30 attending Mangala Arati, 4:30 to 5 Mangala Arati, 5 to 7 o'clock finish your chanting, then attending either Śrīmad Bhāgavatam class, or if you are not able to attend, open Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita or hear Prabhupada's lecture, and then write down all the steps which Prabhupada has given Excel spreadsheet, and then every day tick whatever parts you have attempted or you have done. Then you will find over a month or over 1 year, when you do that, you can generate a graph, and that graph will tell you how you have progressed in Krishna consciousness. You start with even 1 minute chanting. You start with just say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, at least once. What is important is when you are chanting, you are able to hear. Yes. No, you chant like we are chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant, and when I'm chanting, I hear. It's like a friend of mine, he said that he's so much addicted to cricket, but when the bowler releases the ball, he is continuously watching on the TV. That ball is journey till it reaches the bat, and the bat hits the ball, and then once again he follows the trajectory of the ball. He is so much, he said, he is involved. His wife prepares him dosha, idli, vada, because a Tamilian. He loves those items, and then she puts in his plate, but he has no knowledge of this because he's continuously watching that cricket ball, and then he's mechanically taking it. And at the end, he asks his wife, where is my breakfast, where is my lunch? He's so much involved in following the trajectory of the ball itself. So similarly, when you are chanting, you hear. You just chant and hear. When you hear that holy name or the transcendental sound vibration penetrates the subtle body, penetrates the gross, or first penetrates the God's body, then penetrates the subtle body, and then gently taps this sleeping soul. And when it gently taps touches the sleeping soul, the soul gets up, awakens. And if it has truly touched, the symptoms are given, the tears come out, the hair stands up. Yeah, it's like you are trying to meet a parent. I think during the COVID period, none of us could go to wherever. I think most of you are from overseas. and therefore you could not go and meet your parents. After 3 years or 4 years, you have gone home and you meet your parents. What is the first thing happens? Tears flow off your eyes. You want to hug your parents. You want to hug your siblings. Your body becomes ecstatic. Your consciousness becomes ecstatic. So similarly, when the holy name penetrates to the gross body, penetrates to the subtle body, and then touches your spirit soul, the spirit soul becomes awakened. It becomes ecstatic. So try to chant 108 times. That takes about 7 to 8 minutes. And that's the starting journey of returning back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada continues that Sankirtan movement, and here he says, as soon as one is, even the big philosophers and scientists with whom we deal, we practically all are under the impression that they are the bodies. So next paragraph, Prabhupada is saying that everyone thinks that they are the body. And this is the big disease. How many of you are North Indians here? How many of you are South Indians? How many of you are Maharashtrians? How many of you are Tamilians? Just see. When I said how many of you are North Indians, you may have identified yourself as a North Indian. When I said you are a South Indian, you have raised your hand that you are a South Indian. But are you a North Indian? Are you a South Indian? Are you a Tamilian? Are you a Maharashtrian? This is not our designation. This is a body designation. But we have identified ourselves as an Indian, Tamilian, American. This is what Prabhupada is saying in this purport. As the other day we were discussing with a prominent philosopher who was proud of being an Englishman. This means that he was in the bodily conception of life. Everywhere we find the same misunderstanding. As soon as one is in the bodily conception of life, one is nothing but, I'm sorry to read this, but an animal like a cat or a dog. Sa eva gokaraha. Thus the most dangerous of the dirty things within our hearts is this misidentification of the body as the self. Under the influence of this misunderstanding, one thinks, I am this body, I am an Englishman, I am an Indian, I am an American, I am a South Indian, I am a North Indian, I am a Tamilian, I am a Maharashtrian. This misconception is the strongest impediment and it must be removed. That is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita and of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, Bhagavad Gita actually begins with this instruction. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati. So Prabhupada quotes that particular verse that everyone, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. So therefore, somebody who's above the three modes of material nature, above the bodily concept of life, he is not bewildered by the changes happening on the bodily platform because he knows that he is the spirit soul. And therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that how to come up, how to cleanse one's concept of being a North Indian or a South Indian or being an Indian or an American, that cleansing should take place. Therefore, he says in Sixthastakam, Cheto darpanamarjanam bhavamahadavagnya nirvapanam shreya kairava chandrika vitaranam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadhanam Sarvatma stapanam Parama Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Sankirtanam means Hare Krishna, Bolo Bolo, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So one cannot be happy in any way within this material world, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. So whether you move from the lowest planet to the highest planet, from the smallest living entity to the highest living entity, Lord Brahma, no one can be happy in this material world, except somebody who is making an attempt to take the Krishna conscious journey. And this journey alone lifts somebody's consciousness from the material platform to the spiritual platform. And that raised consciousness ensures the return journey back home, back to Godhead. I think we have exceeded the time limit, 9:05. Any quick question anyone has, we'll take it. Or any comment? Yeah, because you want...
I expressed my feelings, whatever I thought I should say. Just like हमने मक्खन में से अगर घी निकालना है, तो we will have to debate about if we want to. If we just read the constant things and like that only. So vichar or vimarsha, we should do the debate. Maybe sometime I am not perfect, because you are like guru, I am younger than you. So but knowledge, whatever I have the feeling, we should express our feelings. So you can say this is right and this is wrong. So I think everybody should express his feelings like that. Sometimes just you are saying that we should enchant the God. So I think I just wanted to ask that the Brahmurat time we say in the Hindi, that time from earlier, before the dawn, from 4 to 5, is that the best time, or any time we can enchant the God anytime, but is that the best time before that?
Yeah, chanting can be done anytime, anywhere, any place, in any situation. Anytime, anywhere, yes, early morning is a good time because that's a time when mode of goodness prevails, or the environment is favorable for you to chant. Because that time is so favorable that it facilitates you to hear the sound, holy sound of Hare Krishna properly. So it's not mechanically chanting Hare Krishna, but each holy name I should be able to hear. Acharyas say, if you can hear even one holy name properly, you are most fortunate. When I say Hare, have I heard just that holy name Hare? If I've heard that Hare clearly, then I become fortunate, because that Hare has penetrated my gross body, my subtle body, and touched the sleeping soul.
It's just like that in our childhood we used that one mirror just to make a fire from the sunlight. It's like that only when
Here we say that we take the example of a mirror with dust. So Cheto Darpana, Darpanam is mirror. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that is you are cleaning the mirror. Right now on the mirror you have a kilometer of thick layer of dust. So as you start chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, slowly you are trying to cleanse, slowly you are trying to rub. As the rubbing continues, that thick layer of the dust gets cleared, and once it gets cleared, you can see yourself in the mirror. Yeah? Any other questions? So I hope that you will be able to start chanting right from today, right from now.
I already have started listening.
Very good.
I'm really thankful to God for this, and I feel like that the journey is started, but
Yes, the desire should come from you, and the desire comes only when the intelligence is the boss, mind is the servant or the subordinate. So long you allow your mind to be the boss, you will never take it up to chanting. Allow the intelligence to be the boss, so that, and that intelligence should be strengthened by the Vedic knowledge. And Vedic knowledge says that chant Hare Krishna, so therefore intelligence tells the mind, I'm going to chant. But if intelligence is not strengthened, mind will say, no, this is the time for me to have a cup of coffee. No, this is the time for me to watch cricket. This is the time for me to go out and play. This is the time for me to do some other activity. So Prabhupada says that the elderly lady tells her husband, chant, 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 and the husband says, can't. He is willing to say can't, but is not willing to say chant, chant, chant. So therefore, ensure that your mind becomes subordinate to your intelligence. Strengthen the intelligence with the scriptural knowledge. Strengthen your intelligence with the association of devotees who are like birds of the same feather. And therefore they remind you Krishna, they do the sadhana, they see that you also do sadhana. Then you will be able to do chanting, not otherwise. Yes. Thank you. Grandharaj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpa tarobhascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo.